Good. How's Caleb Williams doing in your eyes?
It's I mean, it's nothing you guys don't know. It's such a hard question right now because of the protection issues, right? Like the audio of the clip that you guys played on the intro. It's like a perfect example of being a rookie quarterback where he's going to climb the pocket and hey, he basically turns and burns to a one-on-one, which like on the surface isn't a terrible decision, right? A one-on-one matchup. It's just when you kind of like no look it, and then it ends up in an interception. Now they get bailed out by the D holding. So those are like plays where on the surface you go, oh, horrible, right? When you take it in the context of the game where it's like we have simple twists, when we're talking about twists, like think the defensive tackle and the defensive end, the end goes first. He tries to take two of our guys and the tackle wraps around. Like when simple twists are getting home, it's then hard to really come down critically on his decision making because it's like, dude, you've been on the move the whole game. You're getting absolutely killed back there. And oh, by the way, like you're fearing for your safety, but I need you to be smarter with the football. It's always just like a dynamic conversation that you have to have with these quarterbacks. And right now, if Chicago can't protect, it's really hard to truly say, hey man, I think he's struggling with all this decision making because if you're sitting back there and you're just getting teed off on, like no one on planet Earth makes good decisions, no matter who you are.
How do you take that and pair it with the fact that this is a rookie quarterback who now has exactly 2 games of NFL experience and expect him to begin to grow? I mean, what can you take away from a performance like that when you literally are running for your life?
Yeah, there's not a lot you can take away from it other than he's way more athletic than me. There's a couple of plays that I saw him get out of the pocket. And I'm like, man, I'd have tripped over the DN. I did that a bunch in college. So to me, I'm like, I think his movement we've got to be satisfied with. I do think there were enough concepts that we saw, man, when he plays on rhythm, how good he can be and how good this offense can be. I think we sometimes underrate just how good of a scripted series they had to come out, right? I think they moved the ball pretty effectively. If you think about that third and long, it's like, they have that scheme where, hey, they run the ultra high, that super high corner from the slot receiver. Then we've got the speed out. We hit that on the sideline. We had DJ Moore working the slot on a little slant route that he hits. Like their scripted series was great. And then there was a series in the middle of the game that I really want to talk about. It was drive number 5. It was a 3-and-out, which on the surface, everyone would be like, well, that's horrible. With the exception of it was like formationally, they got so creative and it was really nice to see. It was the one where, they open up and they line up basically 3 guys in the backfield. He's in gun. He has 3 guys also in the backfield with him. And it's like he gets the commit, they get 5 yards, and then they start in quads, 4 receivers to a side, which is a very untraditional set, motion the back in. Because of that, there's a little defensive communication breakdown. They pop that corner route. That's the one that he misses. That to me was probably the only really bad throw of the day he had from the true like, hey, we've got a guy open. We have to hit this. We then didn't see any other like super exciting formation thing. So to me, it was like drive number 5 is kind of where it's, if you could talk about if it was my offense to run,
I was just going to ask that. Like,
Yep. How would you figure it out?
yeah. Yeah, if it was my offense to run, it's like we're going in the meeting room. The first thing we're addressing is protections, right? And it's not even true. You're gonna get beat one-on-one in the NFL, right? If every offensive lineman never got beat in the NFL, we would pay defensive linemen 500 grand. Instead, we're paying them millions of dollars as well, right? So it's like we're gonna get beat every once in a while on a one-on-one. Where we can't get beat is like a simple, hey, we need to bump, we need to communicate better on these twists. And then the protection issues where it's like we had guys running free and hey, is he supposed to be a hot? Caleb, are you supposed to manipulate the mic? Those are the number one thing. Boom, we have to address it. The second thing I'm doing though is we're getting super creative formationally because what Chicago is doing, like every team that has a rookie quarterback, they're reloading a bunch of concepts, meaning they have their third and long, they only have 4 instead of the traditional 9, right? That you carry into a game. They have 4 and they're dressing it up formationally. But to me, it's like going from 2x2 with a simple motion to 3x1. That's not enough, right? It's not enough of a dress up to fool an NFL defense. We need to get real exotic with our formation. So to me, it's like formation creativity would be my second priority. Hey, let's get super creative with these formations. We'll keep the concepts the same so our receivers know what to do. It's a new unit, right? Our quarterback knows what to do. but we're going to dress it up. We're going to, hey, here are the 12 formations you're going to learn, which is way easier to learn than a new play concept. And then we're just going to dress it up formationally. And I think there's a lot that you can gain from that. And then I also think we need just growth from I don't want to say creativity in the pass and run game, but we need growth in the kill game, because we saw Caleb out there. He was killing, alerting. We need more growth in, hey, get us in and out of the right run play based on the look, right? They give us too high, let's run it. They give us single high, let's throw it. That's where I'd like to see more growth, and then put more on him, because it looked like Caleb could handle it from what I saw on tape and then what the Sunday night broadcast kind of was showing, audio wise.
Well, that's going to mean a lot of running then, Tim, which is fine for this week against the Colts, but really the trend around the league right now everywhere is at least showing too deep. You may end up in quarters, you may end up in two-man, or it might be exactly the Tampa 2 that they're showing. But putting a lid on the defense now with some of the quality of these athletes is suppressing all the passing numbers, but the Bears haven't run it well. What part of not having a running game hurts him? Is it not being able to use play action off of it, or is it down in distance facing 3rd and 8 and 3rd and 9 instead of 3rd and 2?
That's such a great question. This is such a great point, right? We're seeing too high at a huge rate, which is impacting all these passing numbers, like you're saying. I think what hurts him the most is the fact that we don't force any single high, right? To me, the way you beat this too high coverage is you kind of like put your pride aside and you turn on some San Fran and you turn on some Miami Dolphins, and it's like the Dolphins in prime time, like completely dump the bed so nobody wants to watch them. But go back to their week 1 and see what they did motion wise, because to me it's like two shell from an integrity standpoint is actually somewhat tough to run on too if you're stagnant or if we're in a traditional set. If we're gonna line up in, let's say we're gonna get into 21 personnel, but then we're gonna show you 2x2, right? So meaning, hey, we got 2 backs, 1 tight end, so we're a little heavier, you're gonna have to go base. But instead of lining up in a traditional 21 formation, hey, guess what? Let's go ahead and bump Cole Kmet outside. He's now a stand-up guy, and let's go ahead and put our like hybrid, F, who's like a hybrid fullback tight end. We'll put him in the wing formation. And then guess what? Okay, we're going to shift and we're going to get into flank. So we're going to bump Kmet in. We're going to get our F over there. And then we're going to run a 4-man surface run at you. And everything that you do when you do something like that is you go, okay, it's not about our standpoint. Our standpoint is shift. We're going to get to a 4-man surface. We're going to run it at you. What's hard from a defensive standpoint is think about, if we get into 21, we force you into base. So now I'm a big old Sam linebacker. And I'm thinking, all right, man, I'm going to go pound run. Oh, guess what? Cole Kmet's standing up. So now I'm thinking, what's my pass assignment? I walk out there and then boom, they shift to now we're in a 4-man surface. So now I'm yelling, hey, bump. I got to go walk up on the line of scrimmage. And before I know it, I'm getting whammed, right? And then we're running it at. Those are the kind of things that to me, you see San Fran do it. You see some of these heavy motion, heavy shift teams. You see Minnesota do it. It's a creative way to get to attack with the run game, these too high defenses. And then guess what? All of a sudden, to me, it's like amazing to me. Every time I turn on Miami, I turn on San Fran, I turn on Minnesota, these teams with explosive playmakers, right? Someone you think traditionally you'd never want to be in single high coverage against. They're getting single high coverage because you only have so many checks as a defense at your disposal to account for, the ways that they change strength on the line of scrimmage, the ways they motion. So to me, that's how we get creative. We got to, I think, get heavier in our personnel, but use that heavy personnel in a spread set to begin with. Every once in a while, quick snack them. We'll throw a quick game and then spread them out. And then boom, we're going to shift. We're going to get into a heavy set. We're going to run right at you. And we're going to make your linebackers talk to each other and go from, hey, I'm standing up in coverage to, hey, I'm the point guy on the line of scrimmage. That to me is how you attack the too high, if they're going to give it to you, and then in hopes that eventually they give us single high coverage.
But that takes patience.
And we hit that deep
that takes a lot of patience, and offensive coordinators aren't patient.
I was just going to ask, from a variance perspective, how long is the install on when you talk about creativity in the formations to get that everyone on the same page? Can that be done in a week? Can that be done in 3 days? Like, how much time does that take, Tim?
Yeah, I think transparently the formations is a heck of a lot quicker than the concepts, right? Because when you're teaching concepts, you're teaching not only like, hey, man, when we run Flutie, our number 1 receiver has the post, number 2 has the sail, but it's like oh, and then by the way, if we're into the boundary, we want you to inside easiest release on your sail route. Unless we see this coverage, then we want you to outside release. And then, oh, by the way, if they bring Q deuce off your face, you're hot. Like, to me, that's so much harder rather than saying, hey, we already know the fluty concepts or whatever they call it, right, that they installed during training camp. But guess what? We're going to start in double right, and we're going to F right into trips right? Like those to me, hey, we already have these formations in. We're just getting to them in a different way. Heck of a lot easier. I would cite the 2024 Wildcats, Mac Jenkins, second grade flag team, as the example of that, because we only run 2 concepts, but hell, boys, we dress them up in 30 different formations. These poor second graders on defense, they're not running with any of our guys.
When you say fluty concept, is that the Chip Kelly stuff?
Fluty. We had it when I was in St. Louis. It's post sale. That's a great question because I asked that. Okay, I'm a dumb rookie. I signed as an undrafted free agent. We've got the number 1 overall pick, Sam Bradford, in the room, so they're not slowing down for me at all. So I'm studying, and everybody knows I had to drop out of Fort Lewis College, which you just need a heartbeat to get into because I'm not that smart. So I say, hey, why do we call it fluty? And Schottenheimer's answer was Doug liked it, meaning Doug Flutie. So I don't have a good answer to why.
Okay, right. The answer is
Doug
football.
Flutie liked it, and that's what it is.
The answer is football. Also, when you say surface run, when you say four-man, what's the definition of surface in that regard?
So, like, think of it as when we just have our center guards, tackles, each side is a 2-man surface. Then, hey, you bring an attached tight end. Now we've got a 3-man surface.
Okay.
And then when I say flank, what I mean is we would have that tight end, our Y, and then our F is outside of him in a wing, which creates that 4-man surface. It's a 4-man side. To me, it's like a lot of the zone running game or any of the running game we're seeing in the National Football League. A lot of it's based on one tight end. Hey, we're going to have a, outside zone to the 3-man surface side, kill the inside zone on the 2-man, and they base that on the front. If it's an over front, they kill it to the backside run. If it's an under front, meaning the 3-tech is weak, they keep it on the strong side run. So that's just when we say 3-man, 4-man surface.
Got it.
Guys to that.
It's just the numbers. So
yep.
So that way, if I'm following, if they're in too deep, they can't, if you keep running that way off of that basis, at some point, the math itself dictates that they have to bring a safety into the box just because otherwise you're going to have.
It's too heavy.
Everybody's blocked and you've got an extra guy.
Bingo. And the only other way to problem solve it from a defensive standpoint is to really super bump your linebackers, meaning, hey, your Sam linebacker walks up to the 4-man. Your Mike almost gets all the way over. Let's say it's the right side is our 4 side. Your Mike gets all the way over to almost the right tackle. Your Will then kind of is playing right over the center. And then guess what? You got DJ Moore backside for a slant, right? Like that's, when you see those runs where it's like the quarterback kind of shows his shoulders and then he gets backside and throws it. It's like a run adjust off a 4-man is huge because if you get that bump where they still want to play too high behind it, you can gash him in quick game. Usually what you see, though, is you see that strong safety walk up just because he has to. Free safety kicks to the middle. You kind of force him into some more single high coverages. With that being said, I'd be foolish to not mention, hey, it's harder to you're limited from a pass concept standpoint, again, because you're heavier personnel-wise. And, traditionally, we would want some of our receivers running those deep over type things. However, you can dress it up. Imagine if you have the single back, the 2 guys in the wing, your Z's all the way outside, that being Keenan Allen or that being Rome, right? Mm-hmm. And we go ahead and we motion him down, and then now we can run him on the deep over opposite with DJ Moore on the takeoff. There's some exotic things you can do out of it. And I think it's an easy ad for him. And honestly, I think personnel-wise, they like the 14 kid at tight end. I think more than they like Komet. From a play standpoint, let's get them both in the ball game, right? We got 2 guys that they obviously feel good about. Get them both in there, and then let's go ahead and see if we can gash them in the run game, and then also hit them with the play action.
And this is the week to do it. Tim Jenkins. Need a cigarette after that. Thank you, sir.